What's up YouTube, this is your Option here with episode 3 of my deck rating segment, and in this episode I'm going to be going over 3-Axis Firefist. 3-Axis Firefist is a deck which existed, and it wasn't really too competitive until Chicken and Leopard were introduced into the archetype. Before that there was Hawk and I believe Raven as well, but they weren't really too competitive. But getting into the rating, the first category, clearance. In terms of clearance, the deck has quite a few good options. It has Bear to deal with monsters and Gorilla to deal with back row. Other than that, it hasn't really got much, but these options are very consistent and they're easily searchable, and they search cards which search them. So in terms of how they can be used, it's very useful. So in terms of clearance, I would still give the deck quite a high rating, even though it does rely on solely Bear and Gorilla. It's also worth mentioning that cards like TENSU and just the attack gains in general sort of help the deck to overpower other decks through battle, so that could help out in clearance as well. The second category is stun. The deck has searchable traps. It plays a lot of general traps. I've seen 3-Axis Firefist decks which play easily 20 traps. I mean, it's ridiculous because the deck has a lot of space. It normally only plays Leopard, Spirit, Chicken, and a couple of Bears, so it normally has quite a lot of space. So in terms of stun, again, a lot of searchable traps, the Tensus and Tenkens, and a lot of general traps as well. Also, it's worth mentioning that the deck does have the possibility to make Tiger King, and Tiger King negates the effects of all monsters currently on your opponent's side of the field. That's worth a mention. It can't really make it too well, but it can make it. In terms of speed, the deck is very fast. It has access to Firefist, Chicken, and Chicken is just a very fast card because Chicken searches a monster and lets you swap out your Firefist spells and traps. So not only does it search monsters, it also searches spells and traps, which is very excellent. And it's not really limited to doing either. It can do both in a single turn, and it's a very fast card. In terms of consistency, Tenki, Bear, Gorilla, all of these cards are sort of consistency cards, or at least cards that help to boost consistency, because not opening with a Tenki but opening with a Bear could effectively be like opening with a Tenki if you get to do some damage to your opponent. Same with Gorilla. If you destroy a monster, it's sort of like opening with a Tenki. It sort of gives you another way to sort of get that Tenki to your hand, which is basically what consistency is. It's all about a number of ways which you could open good. Chicken also kind of helps to boost consistency, but the bad thing about Chicken is that you kind of don't want to draw it. So whilst it does help to boost consistency in some ways, it also does hinder it a little. And obviously Leopard helps boost consistency a lot by just, being able to get Tenki immediately just by using its effect. In terms of explosiveness, the deck is very explosive compared to its 4-Axis counterpart. Horse Prince, very explosive cards, gets you the Chicken, swaps out and sort of sets you up. Spirit and Tensu, very good cards. Tensu allows you to just drop that extra monster onto the field, which is very useful. And obviously Spirit gets back to the Leopard, you make the Horse Prince, Horse Prince gets the Chicken, Chicken searches normally the Spirit or Bear, and then you can swap out your Tenki. Normally it's Tenki, you can swap that out for like a Tenken or a Tenten. One thing which I forgot to mention was Beast Lord Vulcan. Vulcan's a very very good card in terms of clearance. And it also helps to recycle your Tenkens, Tensens, Tensus and Tenkis, so I thought I should just mention that. So get into the overview. I know the background of the graph is it's basically not of Chicken, Spirit or Leopard. That's basically because I couldn't really find any really good pictures to use, and even though Hawk isn't really that relevant in the 3-Axis Firefist deck anymore, I still think it's a really cool looking background. But yeah, in the overview, in terms of clearance, I've given the deck 4 out of 5. The access to Bear and Gorilla, also Beast Lord Vulcan as well, it gives the deck a consistent way to clear cards off the board. Maybe not the most powerful, but at least a very consistent way. In terms of stun, I've given the deck a 3 overall. This version is a lot more explosive rather than sort of stun and defensive. In terms of speed, I've given the deck a 4 as well. I think the deck is very fast, but the thing is, it's very fast at doing sort of one thing. It's not really fast at doing a whole different range of things. In terms of consistency, I've given it a 5. It has so many ways to get that Tenki to the hand. Using bear, you could use gorilla, you could use leopard, just so many different ways. And for explosiveness, I've also given it a 5, even though it does always go for that one move, which is basically making War Sprint or Beast Lord Vulcan. It's a very, very explosive play, in my opinion, and especially if you already have those two on the field, you can start making rank 6s, you can start making rank 3s, recycling, etc. So yeah, that's for overview for the deck and the rating. Overall, I think 3-Axis Fire Fist was probably one of the best decks of the last format. If Spellbooks and Elemental Dragons didn't exist, I think this definitely would have been one of the top 2 decks alongside Mermails. But that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This is Zero Option signing out, and have a nice day.